Okay. Mission statement. One sentence so that a second grader could understand it, and so really any worldview could wrap their head around it. Mission statement in this moment: living so all life, so all creation can thrive, and so that individuals can become full vessels of love. Everything you want to be in the world. That's it. Imperfectly, we are following that sentence every moment of the day. So every decision we think about, how is our decision going to affect people in a war zone? How is it going to affect people in a sweatshop? How is it going to affect people without a home? How is it going to affect this water, those turtles that are sunning there, the ducks? How is it going to affect me? Am I going to become more alive, more kind? If not, we should cancel the experiment. How it's going to affect this ecosystem, our air, our water, our culture, our community. So we do consensus decision making, so there's no hierarchy. Everyone has an equal voice in our collective, and we just take up each situation that comes to us and make the best decision we can. That's it. Thanks for coming on the tour. And so, because it's a big mission statement, and a lot of people would say, well, I got to plan how to achieve that, we actually have 5 practices that we make sure to do weekly, so we make sure work is happening towards the vision. If we didn't have the practices, we could just walk around and say, hey, yeah, we're for all life, all people, all creation, and we are for trying to become as kind and non-judgmental and full of love as we can. Without work, again, it might not come down into the world. So the 5 practices are: first, radical simplicity, which has an inner and outer component. Ecological footprint, you may have covered that. It's a scientific method of figuring out how much impact you're having onto the earth and cultures. So we, by starting the project, removed electricity, petrol machines, and already we have what we know of as the smallest footprint of any educational center in North America, just by reduction. So we don't have wind turbines or solar, and so we keep trying to shrink that, one, to honor all life. And that's the radical simplicity part. But the inner part is, we live in an age where everything's so fast. Raise your hand and you can be honest if you feel like most often things are moving just a tiny bit quicker than you would want. Whether too many responsibilities, too much pressure, too much disconnect with the people you love, not enough time to put your full effort into something. And that's what's happening in modern society. Most people would love to help their community and love to do things, but they don't have enough time. And so the radical simplicity inwardly is, we've stripped all distractions, computers, stereos, anything that goes beep, 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 beep. So the only 4 things we interact with here are ourselves, each other. Every night is a candlelight dinner at the Possibility Alliance, and we sit and meet each other, people from all over the world. And we interact with nature and the earth and creation, so we're always out in the woods or getting our milk from the barn. And the final thing we interact with is spirit, God, however you hold it in your own worldview. We take time to interact with those 4 things. Living, no screen, and we say, you can come back in 2 years, and if everyone living here isn't a nicer person, then maybe those 4 things don't grow humans. But our theory is that that is what grows human beings, those 4 things, and that modern society has removed connection with ourselves because we have no time to take a breath and reflect. Removed the other because we're moving so fast we'd rather send an email than sit and look in our friend's eye. 3, with nature, we're usually in a box in a room outside of this beautiful gift. And 4, often put spirit, God, being vessels of love after the homework, the concert, and everything else. Not that it's not in our life, but it's not the highest priority. So we're seeing what happens if we reverse it and try our best. 2 and 3 are similar, but we split them, and there's a big reason why. It's service is number 2, and service, political and social activism is number 3. The reason the split is because if you go into a place to serve, which means you're just serving and being humble, and you have an agenda to actually teach them something or have them build with, like I went to Habitat for Humanity, and we're at a building site, and all of a sudden I'm like, hey, that paint's toxic. That's mixing the lines. I should be over in social activism. But in service, hey, they're building a home for someone who doesn't have one. That's an amazing step to participate in. So our service is whatever we're called upon. This week we went up to an old man who just lost his license and can't walk to prune all his fruit trees. We went down into La Plata to help another old man who was losing his vision, to help him with his little garden and do chores around his place. Really simple, neighborly things. We also have a service component of over 500 people in the organization that travel by bicycle in self-made superheroes. So there's the Golden Rule, there's Compassion Man, Love Ninja. We bike and show up in a town. We just crossed New Mexico and Vermont last year. We sent 45 people to Hurricane Katrina. So we actually have a superhero peace army that we can in the moment send to a riot, send to a disaster zone, and actually contribute. So yeah, it's 500 people, but imagine if every organization had a small peace army. All of a sudden we'd have 1 million to be sent to Katrina. So that service element is locally and nationally and internationally. We've done work in Thailand, we've done work in England, Mexico, and that's really important for us, the service. And again, that's showing up and saying, what do you need? I'm going to help you because you're a human being. The third one is social and political activism. Political activism. We go down to the State House to battle for local farm rights and to battle against corporate farms that we believe impact local communities. We have an agenda. We're not going down there to serve the politicians. We're going down there to say, hey, these local farms are closing down and the watersheds are polluted and this is important to us. And also social activism. We help train mechanics and donated 100 bikes to start the Truman Bike Co-op. Something exciting happening. It's social activism because I'm doing it to get more bikes and more healthy people. So when you have an agenda, you need to know it so you don't get those mixed up. That's 2 and 3. One thing about this project is people here are expected to do a month minimum of one of those 2 in the world. And it can be anything. What we like to have is vision and direction with infinite interpretation so that each person can be on their heart path. I've been to projects where I'm really excited to do work and they said your only choices is to work against nuclear power, this or this, and that's it. Like, well, my heart really wants to work with kids and do environmental murals, sorry. So here we just say do whatever you want. Someone can come, they can work with the elderly. My wife Sarah, she loves to stay local, so she just spoke at a Master Gardeners on plant care. She just sung at a fundraiser at the Lions Club. She teaches classes in the high school. That's her choice. For me, I like to get involved. We're planning a loving action on Monsanto that we're going to try to bring together a bunch of groups. We just had a woman here from Colombia. Monsanto is air spraying the indigenous crops under the guise that it's cocaine, and there's assassinations happening in these small towns. So we hear that, and what did the folks say to us from our liaison who went to Colombia, South America, is they said, you're up there, put pressure on Monsanto for us. But not pressure in a way that we are attacking the person, we're attacking the action. So how do you do that with love in your heart? So there is a commitment. Imagine if 300 million Americans, a little less than that, gave a month of service to what they cared about. The United States would be transformed overnight. The elderly would be taken care of. There'd be murals everywhere. There'd be music. There'd be gardens. There'd be all kinds of amazing stuff. Number 4, inner work, and that is anyone who is here for long term is committed to inner work, which means getting rid of the judgment inside yourself, getting rid of the hate, getting rid of the anger, getting rid of the fear, and also realizing that we all have a different relationship with life, with the earth, with spirit, with God, and that we can't just say, here's how you're going to do your inner work. Some people walk in the forest, some people take silence to pray, some people will read the Old Testament, some will lay in the grass and listen to the birds, and just the commitment is to that inner work to become better humans.